the Bronx Bull, the Raging Bull. Let's hear for the great Jake LaMotta, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm the best. I can take him more than anybody.
You're dead. You're married. Leave the young girls for me.
There's no way I'm going down. I don't go down for nobody.
Listen, man, why does he have to make it so hard on himself?
Hey guys, I'm Kevin.
I'm Jake.
And this is Movie Matters, Sports Month. All about sports movies this month, and we're starting off with a fucking banger. We got Raging Bull from 1980. Martin Scorsese directed it. It's got De Niro. It's got Pesci. It is fucking awesome. I love this movie. Jake and I, as we usually do, we watch the trailer before all of our episodes just to see how it is, and we also obviously include the clip, a little bit of a clip from the trailer in the beginning of our episodes. This trailer was by far the best trailer out of every single trailer we've ever watched.
Yeah, agreed.
It was... So I urge you people who are listening and watching to watch the trailer for that, because it doesn't really give anything away, in a sense. No. And it's there's not a lot of dialogue, and it's very cinematic, as is the movie, and it paints the movie really well. Like, if I saw that trailer today, I'd be like, that looks fucking awesome. We're going to see that right now.
Yeah, so, it's like really, really top notch. And like, especially for probably coming in like 79 for a 1980, premiere. Yeah. Like way ahead of its time as far as trailers go. Yeah. Like usually it would be some guy like Robert De Niro is a boxer. And like, or whatever. Like,
I'm going to see if... Like, who cut the trailer? I wonder if, like, you could look up who cut the trailer for Raging Bull. The trailer for Raging Bull was edited by Martin Scorsese. Oh, so okay. Martin made the trailer. So that makes sense. Yeah. That's sick. He did an awesome job. Yeah. I mean, this movie, I don't think if I recall, you've not seen this movie.
No, yeah, this is my first time.
Okay, so what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's like classic Scorsese, really, really well done all around. I love the boxing content. I'm like not a huge fan of him and his like personal life.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
So it's hard.
Jake LaMotta.
It's a kind of tough watch.
He gives Jakes a bad run for their money, or a bad name.
He definitely does.
Yeah, there's some tough subject matter in this, and we'll get into it. I mean, this movie has a lot of awesome trivia, from what I found, and I've seen this movie before. I've only seen it once. I own it on Blu-ray. I love pretty much any Scorsese movie, which is crazy to saying that and thinking that right now, because I've not seen every single Scorsese movie.
Well, I was thinking about that too. I was like, because like, I like to kind of ponder the movies, after I watch them a little bit, and like, it's usually it wraps up, around like 9:30. Just let the dogs out, and then I get to sit and like stew, for a little bit on it.
With a drink?
No, not usually. Because it's like a Tuesday night.
Fair enough. The reason I say that is Jake has a Bourbon Matters podcast. That's why I mentioned that, not that we're alcoholics by any means. So just want to clarify that, people.
Yeah. But yeah, I was like thinking about how, like, I think Scorsese is the greatest director of all time when the subject matter specifically is about like an American tragedy or like an American character tragedy. Like this movie is a tragedy for sure. And in particular, he does really well in stories about the rise and fall of a main character. Yeah. And like this movie has it. Casino has that. Goodfellas has that.
could almost argue Departed a little bit with
Kind
Jack
of.
Nicholson's character. A little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Families are always rising and falling, am I right? Who said that? Hawthorne.
Hawthorne.
What's the matter, kid? Don't know any fucking Shakespeare?
God, Mark Wahlberg is so good in that movie.
Yeah. Honestly, Alec Baldwin is my favorite part of that entire movie. He's so
Yeah.
underrated in that.
But then, yeah, so then I kept thinking about his movies, and I was like, I don't think I've even seen half of his movies.
That's crazy. Let's go through. Let's do something a little different here. Let's go through his lineup, and I'm gonna be like, seen it or not, and we'll go through them. Let's do that. I mean, we did one earlier, or like last year, or was it? Yeah, it was last year for After Hours, which I loved. I thought that was really
which is
cool.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
see.
tonally different than this movie, but
Definitely. That's one of his earlier movies.
yeah,
Okay, so let's see. Give me a minute here. Okay, so
is it
Box-
After Hours was after Raging Bull, right?
yes, yeah, because
But
Raging
not-
Bull's 80
not
and like
much
After Hours is
after.
like 84, 85.
Yeah, I mean, Raging Bull's in his first 5 movies for sure, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, like,
I'm
it's kind of
might be a little. It's here. So I'm gonna go down it. So Boxcar
Okay.
Bertha is his first technical movie. I
Never
feel
seen
like
that.
there's street scenes, but I'm looking on IMDb here for references. He did street scenes, but it's a documentary. Boxcar Bertha is like his first regular film, which I've
Mm-hmm.
never seen either. Came out in '72. David Carradine. I'd be curious to watch that.
yeah.
Doesn't have a great rating on IMDb, 6.0. Mean Streets. Have you seen Mean Streets?
No.
Oh, dude, that's the movie that really made him famous, and that's got De Niro in it. And that's the movie that kind of made De Niro famous. It's good. It's not amazing, if you ask me, but it's good. I'm pretty sure I own it. It's really good. Taxi Driver. You've seen that.
Yeah, Taxi Driver's
Okay.
great.
Taxi Driver's good. New York, New York. I've never seen that.
Me either.
And that movie plays into this movie a bit. The Last Waltz. I don't know
Oh,
if
that's his documentary about
Yeah, it's a documentary.
the band.
Yeah.
I really want to watch that. I haven't gotten to. It's supposed to be like the greatest like music documentary of all time.
Wow. Then Raging Bull. So Raging Bull is... Oh, I missed Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. He did that before Taxi Driver, which I've not seen. And I've
Me
heard
either.
that's good. I think it's... Is that a comedy? It's a drama. It's a romance. Okay. So I've not seen that. Not seen Boxcar Bertha. Not seen New York, New York. The King of Comedy, which I've not seen. It's an 80s movie. It's on our list. After Hours, which we did. The Color of Money, which is going to be later this month.
Yep.
That's cool that we got 2 Scorsese movies.
I didn't know that he directed that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Last Temptation of Christ.
Which
I've
I
never seen
want
that.
to watch and is on the list.
Willem Dafoe. Yep. Goodfellas. Cape Fear.
Yes, I've seen Cape Fear.
Oh, thank God. I love
we
Cape
we
Fear.
watched it, I'm pretty sure.
Probably. Counselor. The Age of Innocence. I've never seen that.
Nope.
Casino.
Casino might be my favorite.
Casino's so good. Arnold Rothstein. Kundun, which is a biography. I've never seen that.
Yeah, nope.
My Voyage to Italy. Is that an actual movie or is that a... Let's see.
That might be another documentary.
No, that's... yeah, narrates... he's like narrating in it. Bringing Out the Dead, which is on my list with
Yeah, I've never
Nicolas
seen
Cage. I've never seen that. Gangs
Oh,
of New
it's a
York.
Nick Cage 90s movie?
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably dope then.
He drives like an ambulance. And
Oh,
it's like,
yes. I know. Yeah, I'd never seen it, but I know what it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty wild movie.
Yeah. Then we get into the 2000s where it's a little more popular for us as our age, for our age. Gangs of New York. Have you seen Gangs of New York?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Aviator.
Though
Did you
it
ever
took me like 5 times to get through the entire movie,
Yeah,
just
it's long
because.
as fuck.
Yeah,
Aviator.
I don't think I've seen
Oh.
The Aviator.
Pretty good actually. Howard Hughes. It's based on Howard Hughes. It's DiCaprio. Obviously, we've seen The Departed.
Yeah.
Love that. Shutter Island.
Yeah,
Love that. Did we see that in theaters together?
I think so.
I never saw Hugo. Did you see Hugo?
No, that's a kids movie, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
It's on my list. Wolf of Wall Street.
yeah.
Silence. I never saw Silence.
Never heard of that.
Oh, it's it's like a religious movie with Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver. I think Liam Neeson's in it.
Oh,
The Irishman. Did you see The Irishman?
I did watch that. Yeah,
I liked it. It
Yeah,
was
it
a
was
little
pretty good.
long. Killers
Long,
of Flower
yeah.
Moon.
I haven't watched that yet. I need to.
I liked it. I watched it in 2 parts. Like I took a little break because it's super long, and I enjoyed doing it that way. And that's it for his movies. I know that may have been a little tedious audience for listing all those, but but
Yeah,
there's still a lot.
I
for
think
us
I'm
to see.
under half.
Yeah. So, I mean, he is, like you said, he's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. He's great on tragedy. I mean, this movie is a masterpiece, in my opinion. I was saying, like, I've only seen this movie once. I own it. I haven't seen it in a while. And I remember liking it when I watched it. And it, there's a lot of memorable scenes. It's not forgettable by any means, which is good. It's number 174 at the moment on IMDb's Top 250. It was nominated for 8 Oscars. It won 2. It got De Niro Best Actor, which,
Is fair.
yeah, his acting is fucking insane in this movie.
Yeah.
And so good. And there's some scenes I'll talk about where I'm like, this is what got him the Oscar. But he trained like religiously for this role. He did as many as 1,000 rounds when training with the real Jake LaMotta. Jake LaMotta thought De Niro had what it took to become a professional contender, which is high praise.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he went through extensive physical training, and he actually entered in 3 real Brooklyn boxing matches and won 2 of them.
Jeez.
Like, that's badass.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always been, like, in the 80s and like early 90s, he was always pretty ripped. Like Cape Fear, for example, he's like ripped in that movie. Mm-hmm. And Taxi Driver too. I forget Taxi Driver. He's all about that.
This isn't the Meet the Parents Fat De Niro.
Yeah, this movie, the second Oscar it won was for editing. Thelma Schoonmaker, who is a fantastic editor, one of Scorsese's like go-to editors. She pretty much edits every one of his films. She won an Oscar, which is awesome.
Scorsese got robbed.
It's funny is he got robbed like all the time.
Yeah,
and he didn't win until The Departed.
The Departed, yeah.
Yeah. Which Departed's well deserved though, because that movie's fucking awesome.
Well, I don't remember who it was, but somebody like when he finally won for The Departed, they were like, "Yeah," and it's like not even that good of a movie, and I was like, "How dare you?"
Maybe compared to his other crazy filmography, I get that.
I don't know. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, I wouldn't call Departed a masterpiece. I would call it an amazing, awesome film. Like, this is more of a masterpiece. Like, this is...
Well, this is for sure much more into the realm of, like, film as art.
Yes.
Agreed. The Departed is a little
more
bit more
entertainment.
of, like, entertainment kind of movie, yeah.
Yeah. So the film was edited in Scorsese's New York apartment every night after they had finished filming, which is pretty cool, him and Thelma. And, it's film, so, I mean, they're chopping and cutting and splicing and everything. And, I mean, she did an awesome fucking job with the editing. There's some shots in here in slow motion, which is, props to the cinematographer. The cinematography is fucking awesome in this. It's top notch.
In particular, the boxing ring set designs
Yes.
so cool.
Yeah.
Like the contrast to like the pitch black background and like the like lights on the ring is so cool, and like particularly those shots of the last Sugar Ray fight when they're like dead on, like looking between him and Sugar Ray, and like it's just pitch black behind them, and it's just so cool.
I've got a lot of cool trivia on it, and I'll get to it. Yeah, I mean it's so well done. So obviously we're doing sports movies this month. This is ranked number 1 on AFI, American Film Institute's list of 10 greatest sports films. This is number
2
1.
is Rocky.
Yes. So what's funny is Irwin Winkler is the producer of Rocky and this. Ever since Rocky came out in 76, I think it was.
Yeah.
It and boxing movies got extremely popular. And yeah, I mean there's a lot, like, for example, the reason this movie was made in black and white was to differentiate itself from the other boxing movies. Also, one of the producers, like, they were kind of questioning why things looked a little weird, like the boxing gloves, because it was like really like stark compared to everything else. And he was just like, yeah, it's like the boxing gloves color is just throwing everything off. And they're like, all right, well, we got to make it in black and white. Also, the movie has a lot of blood in it.
Yeah.
And he like wanted to tone down the violence in terms of that, which did.
It's a pretty violent movie.
Yeah, I mean,
to begin with,
blood spraying out of people's faces and stuff when they get hit. It's
a different
crazy.
type of violence than what's in most Scorsese movies, but still pretty violent.
Yeah. So really cool piece of trivia on this is, in 78, Martin Scorsese was like down on his luck. He just like felt horrible because his last movie, New York, New York, which we mentioned we both have not seen, bombed at the box office. And then Scorsese pretty much overdosed on cocaine. And because he had an addiction to cocaine, and he was in the hospital. De Niro ended up visiting him in the hospital and told him that he had to clean himself up and make this movie about a boxer. And De Niro had read this book, Jake LaMotta's like biography, while he was doing Don Corleone in Godfather 2. Oh. And so he brought it to Scorsese basically almost on his deathbed. And
it's like, you got to do it, Marty.
Yeah. And he like had asked him a bunch of times, and Marty's like, I don't like sports movies. Like, but De Niro kept being persistent, and he eventually gave in, as most of these stories go. And obviously you know that. Scorsese believed his like whole American career was over, and he was going to move to Europe and make European movies. Literally, he was like, I don't want to make American movies anymore, because he just was pissed off because his movies weren't doing well. And so a lot of people claim that De Niro saved Scorsese's career and life, which is crazy. And
that's interesting.
This movie put him back on the map. Had De Niro not done that, he would have not made this movie, and he would have not made the masterpieces he has today, including Departed. So pretty crazy that had happened.
Yeah, it's funny when those like weird, like, I don't know what you call that, like
nexus
forks
moment
in the in the ether of time or whatever. But like, you know, that decision to be like, yeah, I'll go make this movie, you know, and it turns out to be like one of the best movies of all time.
Oh,
and like,
yeah. I was going to say, no, Indy, take the left tunnel. The left tunnel. Yeah, I mean, even the movie opens with him just kind of shadow boxing or like dancing in the ring. Here comes a cameo from Sadie. And all right, lay down, girl. I gotta switch my notes spot now that she's taken up the couch. But yeah, the opening credits with the score is so cool. I mean, again, it just right off the bat, the soundtrack, the score, which is the soundtrack, the camera work, and the set design is so awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, there's some tough to watch moments. I mean, he depicts Jake LaMotta with a bad temper and abusive, and there's the scene in the beginning
violently jealous too.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. There's a scene where in the beginning he like doesn't get his steak, and he's like, you're gonna overcook it, and then he threatens to kill the neighbor's dog. He's like, I'm gonna fucking eat your dog, and like threatens to kill his wife. And apparently the threat by De Niro for killing the dog was ad-libbed. He improvised that because a dog was nearby, like, and was barking, and he just
That's
improvised with that, which is so crazy and great. Like, I love that. I don't love that he wants to kill the dog. I mean, obviously it's just him being in character, but it just adds to the chaos of the scene and the spontaneity of the scene, and lends to the credibility of an actor that he is.
I mean, watching the credits, I saw that LaMotta was a consultant. And that obviously it's based on a book about LaMotta's life. And having not seen this before, I was like, oh, that's really cool that they actually got him to like consult on the movie. And as the movie's going, I was like, how did he ever approve any of this?
So,
like, they make him look like the biggest asshole on earth.
well, he probably, I mean, he was.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but like, so when Jake LaMotta, the real Jake LaMotta, saw the movie, he broke down in tears and for the first time realized what a terrible person he had been. And he asked the real Vicky LaMotta, his wife / ex-wife, was he really like that? And she replied, "You were worse."
Jeez.
Yeah, pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
And the movie again depicts him as a pretty scummy person.
Yeah.
I love the scene where, I mean, it's pretty much after he has the temper tantrum about the steak and the dog, and he asks Joe Pesci, his brother Joey, he's like, I want you to hit me in the face. Come on, go ahead. Which there's a lot of, and that whole scene is great. He just keeps punching him, and then he's slapping Joe Pesci. They were apparently really punching each other for real, which is crazy.
I mean, they're like both like total psychos, so it's not like super surprising. But
so they had lived together during this whole shoot, and this was the first movie they did together.
Wow,
and they became great
That's
friends.
crazy.
Yeah, they became great friends because of this movie. And then again, like I said, they lived together and were like rehearsing and finding the characters, which is super cool.
I mean, like they're both Scorsese staples, and like thank God they are, because like they're just, both of them are just so good in like everything, especially together.
Oh yeah,
like Casino, the two of them are just like unbeatable.
And Joe Pesci has these unhinged moments of craziness.
Yeah.
And I'll get to one, and he's so awesome. And he, like, De Niro's one of the best actors who ever lived, and Pesci is just right up there with him. Like, he acts so well. And he's just a nut too.
Well, and like Pesci's actually fairly subdued in this movie compared to other movies that he's done with Scorsese.
Yeah,
so
Goodfellas.
like the one scene that you're talking about is like a big shock kind of, and it's like there it is. Like
And like, I mean, in Goodfellas, he just like, it's him that stabs the dude in the trunk with the like kitchen knife like six times,
I think
right?
so.
Yeah, and then he's wild in Casino.
Mm-hmm.
And I always hate when he's such a piece of shit in that movie, and I always hate when he dies. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But the movie's been out for a while, so go watch. If you haven't watched the movie, that's your own fucking fault.
Yeah.
But this movie depicts New York and New York Italians so well, I feel like. Not that I have any reference to that in a sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm not from New York and I'm not Italian. But just the way it just feels very true and very authentic. And like the dialogue, the lingo, and the way like New York Italians talk, like tell me the truth, not truth, truth. Like not sit down, sit down, like sit down.
Yeah.
And what else? There's like tons of other things.
Forget about it.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Go ahead.
Like,
Yeah.
go ahead, punch me in the face. Go ahead. Like, I love that, and it's just the setting feels so authentic, and I feel like that's always a part of Scorsese's movies. Is the setting plays an important role, and it's especially New York.
Yeah, like I mean, he really likes to emphasize the community, I guess.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of ways. You know, like Goodfellas is probably his most iconic movie, and like again, that's a Italian mob movie. But like it's all like at least half of Goodfellas is just about like the Italian culture and mob culture like mixing together, and then like bring up The Departed again. They focus on the Boston Irish culture, and the intermingling with Italians, in Boston, really well. So yeah, I mean he's just really good at almost like casting that as like another actor in the movie or another like major component of like the design of the movie, which is really cool.
Yeah, the setting is just as important as the character's story, which I love. That's good storytelling and good filmmaking, in my opinion. It's like, again, it's the setting is just as important as your characters, because that's part of the story, and that's how that's where it's being told, and it's important.
It's instantaneous world building.
Yeah.
Without having to world build.
Yeah, and he does it so seamlessly and so simple.
Yeah. I mean, like even in Casino, he does that with Vegas so well. Like it's just like he's a master at building that the environment of the film, so well.
I want my environment to be a product of me. So good. Yeah, I might be quoting a lot of Departed while we're doing this episode, even though we're not doing The Departed. It's so the camera work and the editing during like the first Sugar Ray Robinson match is incredible. I like how they have a couple face-offs throughout the movie. I like that. So you have like a familiar foe or opponent. I like that. There is a little bit of mob undertones in this movie with Salvi, who's great. That actor is awesome. Frank Vincent, he's excellent in everything he's in, and he always plays an Italian mobster. He had to be convinced to do this movie, which is cool, and this movie kind of put him on the map. And he's the guy that Pesci just beats the fuck out of. And it's very, very like out of the blue, where he smashes the glass against his head, and then
it's like, I'm sorry. And then just like grabs the glass and
and
flips
then
the table and starts like going wild.
And then fucking slams his head in a cab door a bunch of times, and it's just crazy. And then I love how they make up, and like Salvi just doesn't even really care. He's just like, all right, whatever. Like he has to kind of accept the fate, which is funny.
I like when Jake asks him about it, like much later.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, what happened with that thing with you and them? He's like, no, it was nothing.
That scene is intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that, and it's like, yeah, it's just like, there's all those little like scenes that are kind of cringy, but in a good way, like that scene, and just De Niro plays it so well, where he's just
it's a powder keg, and you know that it's gonna go off, but like you're just the anticipation of when,
Yeah, exactly. I like, when he throws the fight against Billy Fox, he has to throw the fight, and he's just like, that's funny. Which, he's always picking a fight, which is funny. Like, that's kind of the theme of De Niro and his character. It's like, no matter what, he's always fighting inside and outside of the ring, because that's all he knows.
Yeah.
And like, for example, the scene with his wife, Vicky, where Joe Pesci's character is like ordering room service. He's like, do you want to order something? She's like, yeah, I think I want something. It's like, can I get you a cheeseburger and fries? And she's like, yeah, like, order me a cheeseburger. And then Jake De Niro's character is like, why do you gotta listen? Like, order what you want. Like, why are you listening
Don't
to him?
tell her
like,
what to order. She'll tell you what she wants to order.
Yeah. And she's like,
And then
I
he
want a
tells
cheeseburger.
her, like, get a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Or no, he tells her, don't get a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It's like, he does the exact thing that he's telling Pesci not to do.
And it's like so pointless. Like, why are you fighting over such petty bullshit?
Yeah.
And again, that's like all he knows is he is a fighter inside and outside the ring. And yeah, he's just an insane person.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a stark difference in the sound mixing between the fight scenes, both in and out of the ring, and the like everyday kind of like vignettes of his life. And what I mean is, like, the scenes where he's just like talking with Vicky or his brother or whoever are very quiet, contrasted to the scenes in both the ring and when he's fighting with other people are very loud, and there's like lots of external noise. And I mean, obviously in the boxing ring there's like cameras going off and the punching and people yelling in the crowd, and then when he's fighting people in his house or whatever, he's like smashing shit, and like there's people screaming and like
Yeah.
But I thought that was a cool way to kind of contrast like the two sides of his life, and like
It's a good
even
point.
tie in like you said, his inside and outside the ring fighting is still emphasized even when he's not in the ring. I think that was a pretty cool way to kind of handle
Differentiate that. Yeah. Sound effects for punches were made by squashing melons and tomatoes. And for cameras flashes going off were sounds of gunshots. And so the sound technician, Frank Warner, had deliberately destroyed the original tapes of recordings of that so they wouldn't be used again, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because I mean, the punches are very kind of meaty, like they're very they're very pronounced, and the camera flashes are very pronounced. So that's a great point about. I don't know if I ever realized that. I know I was like at certain points I was turning the volume up to like hear them a little bit more, and turning it. I never really turned it down that much though.
Yeah,
It was super good. Yeah, he's always picking a fight, like where his wife Vicky says goodbye to some guy, I forgot exactly, like Charlie or something like that, and she like kisses him goodbye, and then he like slaps the shit out of her, which is like aggressive. Like it seems so realistic. This movie has it's intended a very documentary feel because it's a biopic or like a biography. It's got that very realistic feel to it, and that's in every scene of the movie, including the boxing. And I think that's why it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, and like I was gonna say, it almost has a feel like a movie from like the 40s or 50s in the way that it's shot, which is super cool. Like the way it's filmed, like just reminds me of like watching like the old like Universal monster movies, kind of in like some ways, or like God, On the Waterfront, you know, like those kinds of movies, like from that era, you know, that are, I mean, I think those are a little bit older than
On the Waterfront's
40s,
like
but
the 60s. And there is a reference to that with his speech towards the end.
But like, this movie perfectly evokes the like black and white film era, I feel like.
Oh, I agree 100%. Watching this movie, I was like, this movie feels like it was made in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, because that's kind of the time period it takes place in, those 3 decades. It feels so of its time that it's taking place in. And that's from the costume design, the black and white nature of just the film in general, and the acting, the cars, like the set design, the costumes, like I said, every bit of that just lends credibility to that, and it makes it feel like a masterpiece, and it is.
Yeah.
There's another line I wrote down that I liked. I'm disgusted with the two ears. The two ears.
The two ears.
Just all the like lingo that's used is so great. I love there's like a really long take from Jake going in the hall, going into the ring of the boxing ring of the boxing match. That whole like long take is incredible. Scorsese loves to do long takes, and there's one in Goodfellas where he's following Ray Liotta's character through like the kitchen and stuff, which is awesome. He loves these long, elaborate shots, and that shot stood out to me the most when he's kind of going to the ring. Another scene that's brutal that you kind of mentioned, where he asks Joey about what he did with Salvi, and it's just like he's like you fuck my wife, like multiple times, and then he attacks Joey, attacks Vicky, and it's just brutal. And so apparently the movie didn't have Joey in it, the brother, initially, and they brought Paul Schrader on, who we know from Taxi Driver and a whole bunch of other movies, to do some rewrites. And he did some research, like went to a local library and found like newspaper articles and stuff on the LaMottas, and found out Joey was his brother. And he's like, oh, that's the missing link. That's the hook, is that brother relationship. And that's the heart of the movie, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And him finally turning on his brother, asking him if he fucks his wife, and beating the shit out of him, and then them going their separate ways. That's kind of the downfall right there. Mm-hmm. And
the beginning of the spiral down, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it's, again, good character development and good story building and good tragedy. It's a good tragedy, as ironic, oxymoronic as that sounds. It's good tragedy. But I like when he fights Sugar Ray again, and he is like throwing the fight, and Ray's just pummeling the shit out of him, and he's like all swollen, and goes up to him. He's like, "You never got me down, Ray. You never got me down."
Yeah,
like that whole, he's a tough son of a bitch in this movie, and like that whole scene and that boxing match is brutal and awesome, and it's crazy because it's a very bloody boxing match. They used Hershey's chocolate syrup as blood and showed up super well on in black and white. And
famous in Psycho also.
Yep. And so that's funny. That's Scorsese watched Psycho in order to kind of like the shower scene, in order to kind of get his mind wrapped around these boxing scenes, or like at least this one in particular, from what I read. And when Scorsese was kind of doing research as well, he noticed the ropes of the ring were soaked in blood, and like the sponge that they douse over the boxers, the fighters, was all soaked in blood, and he just was so like mesmerized by that and wanted to put that in the movie. And there's some amazing shots of all of that, and like the super slow-mo to like different frame rates they use is incredible.
I can't remember if it's the Sugar Ray fight or the one with the good-looking guy whose name I can't remember. Like fuck, I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like
Starts with a
Johnny,
G.
Johnny or something.
Yeah. But
I'll find it.
It's one of those two fights. It's either after Jake gets the shit beat out of him or he beats the shit out of that guy. But there's a close-up shot of the rope with like blood dripping from it. It's
that's what
so cool.
Yep, that's a great shot. Not Jimmy Reeves.
No, it's
Tommy. No. I don't remember the guy's name either. I'm sorry.
is it like Genesso or something like that.
I'll find it.
Remember what it was. Yeah, I mean that fight too is crazy.
Yeah,
and that's the one that he's worried
Tony
about.
Gennaro.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's the one that he's worried about making weight for.
Yeah. You fat fuck.
Yeah. That's that's kind of an interesting point too, and it's again like part of his character arc is that he starts to kind of become more complacent and like less like driven, it seems. Even though he ends up like absolutely demolishing that guy in the fight. But that's when we start seeing Joey kind of like poking at him, being like, "Oh, you fat fuck! Like all you do is eat like cake and stuff." And then, obviously his career starts to deteriorate, after that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's good. I think it's a good way to kind of start pushing his arc towards the fall,
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's the boxing scenes just, and there's not many of them, which is crazy because this movie's 2 hours and 9 minutes, and it goes by pretty quick if you ask me.
Yeah,
it's a very good, easy watch. There's only a total of 10 minutes of like boxing in the entire movie, which is crazy to think of it as a sports movie. It only has 10 minutes of the actual sport, but that's not necessarily what it's about.
Right. This movie is really a drama. It's much more about LaMotta's life than the boxing, though. I mean, like we've said, the boxing is like incredibly done,
It's a metaphor, the boxing.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's fighting inside and outside the ring.
Right.
The two is.
But yeah, I mean, technically it's a sports movie. So yeah,
I think it's a great one to start the month off.
Stretching maybe a little bit, but it's all right.
Yeah, no, it's if it's rated number 1 on AFI, it's a sports movie. People,
Yeah,
we're counting it.
Rocky's pretty similar though.
Rocky's great.
Like Rocky doesn't have all that much actual boxing in it either. So
no, I want to talk about Rocky in a little bit to compare it. But and we gotta watch one of the sequels because they're
Rocky
in the 80s.
4 is the best.
Drago.
Yeah. Taking down the Russians.
All right, we'll talk about it right now. All the Rockies are great, like surprisingly great.
Third one's okay.
Oh, I like the third one.
With Mr. T.
Yeah, I like them all. The one that's not great, as great, is number 5.
Yeah, 5.
The one with his son.
Not that
and
good.
like Tommy Machine Gun or whatever.
Tommy Gun. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's okay. It's not terrible, and it ends in that
it's all
street
right.
fight.
Yeah.
But all of them are like surprisingly great, and those are the movies that I think I told you. Like I got on a Stallone kick, and like those movies, I really like them, and I think they're really good for boxing and hyping you up.
Yeah.
But this is a completely different type of movie from the Rocky movies, if you ask me. Completely different type. And I think that is all due to Scorsese.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rocky is a
Underdog story.
Underdog story. Yeah, even though he loses the fight in Rocky 1, it's still like, holy shit, this guy like made it through the entire fight, and like you're pumped that like, he did well, and him and Apollo Creed are, like amicably, kind of celebrating at the end together, and all that shit. So, yeah, I mean, it's the Rocky movies are not tragic, in the way that Raging Bull is. I think maybe Rocky 3 might. Well, he still comes out on top at the end. Like Rocky 3 is kind of like the turmoil, movie where he like loses all his money and, like his life starts kind of falling apart, and Mr. T is this like killer, who's out to get him, and, all that stuff. But, yeah, I mean, like, but Rocky's not a art movie.
No,
it's
art masterpiece.
You watch Rocky because you're like, yeah, like it's fun. You get pumped up, and listen to Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, but Rocky won more Oscars.
Yeah, which is funny.
It's rated about the same. Well, it won 3 Oscars, and it won Best Picture. So,
yeah,
pretty crazy. Let's do a Stallone month. I know we did a Schwarzenegger month. We got to do a Stallone month.
Yeah, we got to do a
So we'll have to do that.
We've already watched quite a few of his movies.
We have.
But, I mean, the 80s is jam-packed full. Him and Arnold. So.
Or we could do like an obscure Stallone Schwarzenegger, because there's some we haven't done yet with Schwarzenegger either.
Yeah.
But back to Raging Bull. So with the boxing scenes, Scorsese, usually a lot of those scenes are shot with multiple cameras. Scorsese did it with one camera, which is super impressive. He wanted the camera to be like a third fighter in the ring, which is super cool. And he choreographed all the movements, and like it took him so long to plan that, like months, like 6 months at least. And I mean, it's just, again, like the POV shots and like it's crazy. Yeah, most of the fight scenes were shot through an intense light source to obtain like a slight mirage within the image, which is super cool, and that's why it's like really kind of blown out almost.
Yeah.
And again, I think the black and white really color scape really lends to that. And I think this was super cool to visually show Jake's growing desperation, his diminishing stature, and perceptual distortion. Scorsese shot the later boxing scenes in a ring that was 4 times as large, which
That's
is
really
crazy. Cool. Yeah, it's like just genius fucking filmmaking.
Yeah,
there's a interview with Jonah Hill, who did Wolf of Wall Street with Scorsese, and Jonah Hill says like Scorsese is like literally an absolute genius, and he has insane problem solving skills. Mm-hmm. Where if there's an issue on set, he's like, he literally can figure out how exactly to do something and execute it within like seconds to fix it. It's crazy, he said. So, I mean, again, just one of the all-time greatest filmmakers. I'm ready for more movies that he's going to make, that's for sure. The only downside is like he's doing these Apple TV Plus movies or Apple Plus movies and Netflix movies with absurd budgets, and it's like, yeah, they're good, but it's like, do they really need these fucking crazy budgets?
Yeah.
That's the only complaint I have right now.
Though I really want him and DiCaprio to do The Devil in the White City.
I think it's in motion now, from what
Yeah.
I've read.
And I know it was going back and forth between a series and a movie. I hope it's a series.
I think they're making it a movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it both ways, but like a 10-part, like 1 hour series would be super epic for that.
Yeah. I'm going to look up and see what he has coming up movie-wise. But yeah, then you start to get to the downfall of Jake LaMotta, where he's gained a lot of weight. And I think one of the shots of him where he's on the phone and his belly's just hanging out and he's in that phone booth is really funny. So De Niro had gained all that. He gained a record 60 pounds to play Jake LaMotta as an older. And Joe Pesci lost weight for the same scene, which is crazy. His weight was broken by Vincent D'Onofrio in Full Metal Jacket, which is crazy to think. And we may have mentioned that in our podcast review on Full Metal Jacket, which is a fun episode.
What about,
I like that episode.
Christian Bale and
Cheney or
the one with
American
Jeremy
Hustle?
Renner? Yeah, American Hustle, because he gained a lot of weight for that movie.
He did. I'll Google it real quick. But it's just, and even like the makeup with his nose and his face is so startling in this movie and so well done. I can't believe it didn't win for that.
I mean,
it's simple though.
You probably watched it in 4K also.
Just Blu-ray.
No,
you got the 4K?
I got the Criterion in 4K.
Sick. I bet it looked great.
And like, yeah, it was kind of, because it's obviously not his nose, but like I was kind of looking to see if you could see like the seams and stuff, and you cannot. So I was pretty impressed at the makeup.
Yeah, I agree.
Even his like up close shots, like sometimes with those prosthetics, like the like skin doesn't look right, and stuff. But like it looks really good.
Looks so well, and I mean, again, like they wanted to put a fat suit on him, like the producers and stuff, but De Niro was like, "No, like I'm a method actor. Basically, I'm going to do it myself," which is crazy. So he ate just like heavy loads of pasta and milkshakes every day, and Scorsese was like worried for him for his weight and health, and he also like De Niro would get winded so fast.
Yeah,
and like would have to take a lot of breaks apparently from like doing a bunch of takes. But I did Google it. Vincent D'Onofrio still holds the record for most weight gained by an actor for a movie role. 70 pounds to play Gomer Pyle.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah. So, and it's just like he's like a club owner, and then he gets in trouble with giving a girl alcohol, which is a creepy scene.
Yeah.
Where they're like making out with him. That's uncomfortable. I think, like, and he's like so desperate he smashes up his championship belt to try and take the jewels off of it, which is idiotic because he's like the pawn shop guy is like, I would have taken the belt and like
the
given
belt's
you
worth way more than the the diamond.
So just ironic. But the solitary, when he gets into prison, the solitary confinement scene is incredible. That is that in my opinion, that scene is why, and I pun intended, he's saying screaming why. That's why he won the Oscar, if you ask me. Where he's just, you idiot, he's smashing his head against the wall, punching the wall, and just like crying, and it's so intense and like disturbing.
Yeah,
and like it's the breakdown.
Yeah,
of him.
like it's his like final, I think, like it's almost like his final bit of like self-respect is lost there.
Yeah.
And he goes on to just do these like really shitty like hole in the wall stand up gigs and stuff. Yeah. Like but yeah, I mean that's like I think why this movie's, you know, probably one of the best, I think, American tragedies, you know, like his downfall is just captured so well, and like flows so well. And yeah, I mean, this scene in particular, when he's in the cell, is like lit so well. The like, again, like the blackness of like the background and like the highlights of like the kind of like barred window, you know, like shining on him as he's like punching the wall and like beating his head against it is just so well crafted, you know. And
then he's like sitting on the bed after the whole ordeal, and he's like not even shown. He's in shadow. You can't even see him. All you see is his arm from like the light from the bars, and it's just like, it's just so well done. I mean, this is such a good movie. And then I love the ending where, you know, he's hyping himself up in the mirror and he's like, I'm the boss. Like that whole scene, I'm just like, I haven't seen the movie in a while, and I was like, and I knew that was the ending, and I was like, oh God, that is such an awesome ending. It's so
especially because that's the opening scene, or like basically, and you think like, oh, he's in a tuxedo, he's like backstage, like he must be going to give some speech, you know, for like an award or something. Then by the end of the movie, you realize he's just going to probably talk to like do stand up in front of like 5 drunks at a, you know, dingy ass bar.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly, sad, but well done tie up, you know.
Yeah, it's good bookends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is a masterpiece. Would you, now having talked about it, marinated on it, would you consider it a masterpiece?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm shocked we never watched this movie together. I feel like this is one we would have.
I think I talked about this last week briefly when we were talking about watching this and the other upcoming movies. But my brother was obsessed with this movie. Yeah. And it all stemmed from Rocky. Like, I don't know if AMC did like Rocky month or like boxing month or something.
Probably.
But like he would just watch Rocky 1 through 4, I think, on repeat from like our TiVo box from like recording it on AMC, and then I think they played this, you know, like sometime after. So he was just obsessed with boxing movies for a while, and he used to like walk into rooms and start talking to me like Joe Pesci, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're referencing, like go away.
That's funny. I think this movie has pretty decent, for like the subject matter and stuff, it has decent rewatch value. Like I was talking to my buddy about this, and again, I bring this up all the time. It's like how I rate a movie depends on rewatch value as well. I mean, this movie's just a masterpiece in general, so it gets a high rating for me.
The impressiveness is, I think, what really drives the rewatch value.
Yeah.
Like I said at the top of the show, it's a little bit of a tough watch. Or at least parts of it are. This
movie is like you watch it every 5 years, 10 years type of movie. And it still holds up all those years, and it's like, that's what I think. And I remember I mentioned that I wanted to do kind of a rewatch rating for this. So for each movie.
I mean, it's definitely something that I will want to revisit, you know, multiple times.
Good.
Over time. But yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things where you gotta wait for your stomach to settle and then watch it again, you know?
Yeah. We'll see how rewatch value is going to play into effect with next week's movie, Chariots of Fire, which we both have never seen, right?
Nope.
So I don't know what to expect.
I don't know anything about this except that Vangelis did the soundtrack. That's it.
Yeah. So I think it won a shit ton of Oscars. I'm not even going to look it up. Well, I'm going to look it up to see where it's streaming, but if it is, if not, I might buy it, but or rent it. We'll see. But that is next week's movie, Chariots of Fire. So tune into that, watch that, and then catch our episode. Hopefully, you guys watched Raging Bull and then listen to this episode because this was a fun one in my opinion. This will be a fun month of sports movies, and this was a masterpiece of a movie, and I think everyone needs to see this movie. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next week with Chariots of Fire.
See you.